Today, Saturday, the 7th of December 2024, we have some hand-picked match predictions to share with you, which will be backed up by some stats and analytics to help you make your picks in this list to boost your winning by a greater percent. And to those of you who want to be accessing our hand-picked events, which we share to members only, as well as our top 10 and top 15 list of game predictions based on goals probability and corner kicks with huge odds to take your winning to the next level, then you want to make sure to subscribe to the level 2 pro plan to start to have access to all of these to take your winning to the next height. To those of you who want to join, the link is below this video description. You can click directly on it, navigate and join as a member and start to have access to all of these features. So without wasting time, I'm going to begin with the first match pick of today's list. Looking at the first event, we'll look at Turkey in the first leg, a match between Yeni Malatyaspor against Kocaelispor. In this event, the home team is very poor in terms of defense and they concede a lot of goals. Its opponent, on the other hand, is good at offense and they are good in terms of strike power. Looking at the recent performance of these two in terms of comparison based on stand and looking at the form table, of course, looking at the performance of the home based on home gameplay, you're going to see that the home team, of course, here is very poor in defense. They've had 5 games, no wins, 3 goals scored, and up to 17 goals conceded. The defense is very weak. Comparing to that of the opponent, on the other hand, you're going to see that based on the way the away team is good in terms of offense, and the defense, even though it is not very tight, but the offensive power is better. And compared to everything to the home team, we want to look at 2 major picks here in full time. For this particular event, the performance of the home, especially in terms of defense, is very weak. That of the away team, of course, is better in terms of offense, and they have had some leads. And looking at this, we want to look at the away team to take advantage of the very weak defense of the home to try to win this match in full time as one of the major picks. And since the defense of the home is very weak, we also want to look at the possibility of goals. That is at least 1.5 goal to occur in this match in full time as the next possibility. Looking at the next pick, we'll look at Russia in the Premier League, a match between Spartak Moscow against Bettingn. The performance of the home Spartak Moscow have proved to be very offensive based on recent events they have had, scoring 3 to 5 goals and even 4 per each event. That of the opponent, on the other hand, is not very tough in terms of defense as compared to that of the home. Looking at the last head-to-head, which they just recently met, Spartak Moscow play at away and lead by 2-0. This time, Spartak Moscow is coming home. And comparing the stands in terms of form comparison of these two based on home and away gameplay, the home team, Spartak Moscow, have proved that they are good. They sit on the second position. Played 9 games and having 6 wins. They have scored 21 goals, conceding 7. That's a good offense. And comparing to that of the away, based on the way game played, you're going to see that the defense of the away is not tight. Even though the offense is weak, but the offense is also very weak. And looking here at everything in place, we want to look at 2 major picks for this particular event in full time. For this particular event, the most recent head-to-head they just met, Spartak Moscow played away and they lead by 2-0. This time, the form of Spartak is still better and it is coming home. And looking at the fact that the offensive power of the home is greater and the defense of the away is not that very tight, we want to look at Spartak Moscow, the home team, to take advantage of that, to try to lead this match in full time as one of the major picks, as well as looking at least 1.5 goal to occur in this match in full time. Looking at the next, we want to look at Russia. No, we have already looked at this. Let's move to the next game, which is in the Turkey Super League. We want to look at Göztepe against Adana Demirspor in the Turkey Superliga. And looking at this, of course, the home proved to be good in terms of recent event they have just had in the Superliga of Turkey, scoring 4 and 2 goals per each event based on recent gameplay. The opponent, on the other hand, is very conceding, as you can see here. And looking at the last performance of this in terms of form based on home and away gameplay, we are going to see that based on home, the home team proved to sit and lead this table. They are in the first position. They've had 5 games, having all the 5 wins, scoring 12 and conceding 3. That's a good offense and a very good defense. But that of the away, on the other hand, based on the away performance, as you can see here, prove that whenever they are at the away, the defense is not very tight, and the offense is not good, and the defense is not very tight. And looking at everything in place, we want to look at two major picks in full time. For this particular event, of course, the performance of the home proved to be better as compared to that of the away. And since the away defense is not good and that of the home offense is better, we want to look at the home to take advantage of the weak defense of the away to lead this match in full time as one of the major picks, as well as at least 1.5 goal to occur in this match in full time. Looking here at the next, we want to look here in the Russia Premier League. This time it is Zenit St. Petersburg playing against Akron Toglati. In this event, Zenit have proved to be very good in terms of recent event they have had. They've had game in the Cup and also in the PL, and they have also had games in the CF, which is the club friendly. Comparing to that of the opponent, on the other hand, their performance also proved to be average. And looking here at the recent head-to-head, which they just meet, they have met this same here head-to-head about 3 times. And all the times they have met, you're going to see that Zenit have had 2 leads, that is 2 wins, as compared to its opponent Akron. This time, most recently, Zenit play at away, which is not far ago. It beat Akron 5-0. This time, Zenit is coming home and the form is still good. Comparing the stance of these two in terms of recent game played by form, you're going to see that based on the home game played, Zenit, of course, proved that they are better as compared to its opponent. 5 match played, 9 goals scored, and 6 conceded. Its opponent, on the other hand, based on the way game played, proved that it sits right here on the 14th position with a weak offense and weak defense. And looking here at everything in place, we want to look at 2 major picks in full time. For this particular event, we want to look at Zenit to take advantage of the weak defense of the away. And since it has a better form, we are looking at Zenit to either lead in full time as one of the major picks, as well as the possibility of at least 1.5 goal in full time. Looking at the next, we'll look at a match in the Germany Bundesliga, Leverkusen against St. Pauli. The performance of Leverkusen, based on recent events they have had, proved that Leverkusen is good based on recent game played. Its opponent, on the other hand, also proved that they are good based on the most recent game they have just had, but of course the defense is not as tough as that of Bayern Munich. Looking at the performance of these two in terms of comparison by form, we are going to see that based on the form table, the home play of Leverkusen have proved here that they sit on the 5th position with a great offense of 13 goals scored of 5 games played. The defense also is average, or can we say is a little bit better as compared to that of its opponent based on the away game. And resulting, looking at that of the away, you're going to see that St. Pauli is not very good at offense, and the defense is also almost of average position. And looking at everything in place, we want to look at 2 major picks in full time. For this particular event, we want to look at Leverkusen to take advantage of this match in full time as one of the major picks, as well as the possibility of 1.5 goal or 2 goals over. Looking at the next, we'll look at Bayern Munich against Heidenheim. And in this event, the performance of Bayern Munich based on recent events they have had, especially in the Cup and also in the Bundesliga, and recently in the Champions League against PSG, have proved that they are good. Its opponent, on the other hand, is a very weak defensive team, and they are not very good in terms of defense. Recent performance in terms of stand comparison by the home game and the away in terms of form, of course, Bayern Munich have proved here that looking at the form, they lead this table, sitting here on the first place. They've had 5 game play with 4 leads, scoring 13 goals and conceding 1. That's a big defense and a very strong defense as well. But that of Heidenheim, on the other hand, proved that they are very weak in terms of defense based on the way game played, and the offense is not that very strong. And looking at everything in place, we want to look at 2 major picks in full time. For this particular event, the performance of Bayern Munich based on recent gameplay have proved that they are very offensive. And based on this table, they still lead. Comparing to that of the away, the defense is very, very weak. And we want to look at Bayern Munich to take advantage of the weak defense of the away to have this match as a lead in full time as one of the major picks, as well as over 1.5 goal in full time and 2.5 goals in this event in full time. These are our major pick for this particular event. Looking at the next, we look at quarter in the Star League, a match between Al Duhal against Al Khor. In this event, the home team have proved that they are very offensive, scoring 2 to 5 goals per each event recently. The opponent, on the other hand, is also good at scoring, but the defense also is weak. And looking here at the recent head-to-head, which they just had 2 times met, they have had 3 goals per each game. That is 2.5 goals. Looking here at the recent stands in terms of form comparison of these two by the home and away game played, Al Duhal, which is the home team, proved that the offense is good and the defense is also very tight. They have had 4 games, 11 goals scored and 2 conceded. Good offense and good defense. But that of the opponent, on the other hand, comparing the offense and defense, the defense is not very tight, but the offense is average. And looking at everything in place, we want to look at 2 major picks in full time. For this particular match play, of course, the home game have proved to be better in terms of offense. And since the defense is very tight and the defense of the away team is just average, want to look at the home to lead this game as one of the major pick, taking advantage of the average defense of the away, or looking at double chance for the home, or the home team to score over 1 goal. If it doesn't exceed, we have a refund. These are our major pick. The home to lead, 2, double chance for the home, or 3, the home team to have over 1 goal in full time. Looking here, the next, we look at Wales in the Premier League, TNS against Newtown. The home team, TNS, have proved to be good scoring, even though they have had some lose, especially in, that is, the Conference League against stronger teams. And comparing to that of the opponent, on the other hand, the defense also is very weak. And comparing the recent game they just had, especially this year, they have met 4 times, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And all the times they have met, TNS have always lead. And most recently, they have had 7 goals between the two, which they just recently met. TNS played away and it hit the Newtown by 6-1. This time, comparing the stance of these two, TNS, of course, is coming home and having that form which is having right now based on the home game played. They tried to lead this table. 5 games played, 4 wins recently. They have scored 14 goals, conceding 5. That's a good offense, and the defense is also good. But that of Newtown, on the other hand, you can see that the defense here is not tight. And looking here at everything in place, I want to look at 2 to 3 major picks in full time. For this particular event, the Newtown have proved, that is TNS, has proved that they are very good in terms of offense. And the fact that they lead this table based on the home game played and the defense of the away is not that very good, we want to look at TNS, the new Sen, to lead in full time as one of the major picks, as well as the possibility of the new Sen to score at least 1 goal over. Therefore, want to look at 1, the new Sen to lead, 2, at least 1.5 goal to occur in this match in full time, or 2 goals over. Looking at the next, we'll look at Greece in the Super League, a match between Olympiacos against Volus. Olympiacos here have proved to be better in terms of recent game played as compared to Volus. And comparing here, the recent game they just met, twice the same here, Olympiacos have lead all the times. And looking at the form comparison of these in terms of recent game played, they have just had Olympiacos, which is the home team, of course, have proved to sit on the 3rd position. They have had 10 goals scored for 5 game play and 4 conceded. Good offense and good defense. But that of Volus, the away team, based on the away game, they are average at offense, but the defense is not tight. And looking at everything in place, we want to look at 2 major picks in full time. For this particular event, we are looking still at the home team to take advantage of the average defense of the away to lead in full time as one of the major picks. We also want to look at least 1.5 goal to occur in this match in full time. Looking at the next, we'll look at Greece in the Super League 2. This time, AL Larissa against Etiokos New. In this event, of course, the home team is better in terms of recent game played comparing to that of the away. Comparing the stance of these two in terms of recent event they have had based on the home play by form, we are going to see that Larissa, which is the home, sit on the 3rd position. The offense is good and the defense is also very good. Comparing to that of the away based on recent game played, you're going to see that the defense is not very good and the offense is also not good. And looking at everything in place, we want to look at 2 major picks in full time. For this particular event, we want to look at the home to lead in full time as one of the major picks, since the defense of the away is not good and the offense of the home is good. So the home to lead, or giving at least the home to score 1 goal over. Looking here, we'll look at Scotland in the Premiership, Celtic against Hibernian. Celtic have proved to be very offensive based on recent event they have had, comparing to that of its opponent on the other hand. Looking at the recent head-to-head they have had this year, they have met 3 times, and of course Celtic have lead by all the times. Looking at the form comparison of this time, Celtic is still better in terms of gameplay by form comparison. Celtic at home, of course, proved to sit at the 1st position and they are better here. 5 games played, 4 lead, 14 goals scored and 2 conceded. They are the best here and the offense is very high. Compared to that of the away, Hibernian, on the other hand, the defensive power of Hibernian is not very tight and the offense is just average. And looking at everything in place, we want to look at 2 major picks in full time. For this event, Celtic is the best here and they lead the table by home, very offensive and defensive. But the defense of the away is not very tight. So we want to look at Celtic to take advantage of the weak defense of the away to lead in full time as one of the major picks as well as at least 1.5 goal in full time or 2 goals over. Looking at the next here, we'll look at Serbia in the Super League, a match between Krevna Zvezda against Teksitlak Odasi. In this event, of course, the home team, Krevna, is very offensive based on recent event they have had. That of the away team, of course, is not as good as compared to the home. And comparing the recent game they have had this same year, Krevna has lead by all in this same year, scoring 4 and 7 goals per each head-to-head. This time, of course, Krevna is still very good, and the offensive power is better as compared to that of the away. Comparing the stands in terms of form by Krevna, you're going to see that they lead this table with a still very, very high offensive power and defensive power. And that of the away, of course, to prove that the defense is not good and they are very poor. And looking at everything in place, we want to look at two major picks in full time. For these particular events, Krevna is still very offensive and lead this table. They are very, very high in offense and defense is very good. But the defense of the away is very weak. We want to look at Krevna to lead in full time as one of the major picks, as well as over 1.5 and 2.5 goal in this event in full time is our major pick. Looking at the next here, we want to look, of course, in the Saudi Arabia Professional League. This is a match between Al Hilal against Al Raed. And looking at this, of course, the performance of Al Hilal comparing to that of Al Raed, Hilal proved to be better in terms of recent event they have had. They have recently had games, especially in the CL, that is AFC Champions League, and their performance have been great, especially also against Al Sadd, as you can see here. Comparing to that of the opponent, on the other hand, they have mostly had event only in the SPL, and the performance have been average. Comparing the recent game they just had, this same here in the SPL, Al Hilal play at home and they lead by 3-1. This time it is still good, and of course the offensive power is still better. Comparing the stands in terms of the recent gameplay they have had by form, Al Hilal still prove here that they sit here on the second position with a very high offensive power and good defense. That of the away, of course, based on defense and offense, you're going to see that the defense is not very great and want to look at two major picks in full time. For this particular event, Al Hilal is still very good in terms of offense. They have always lead based on recent head-to-head they have just had. This time, the offense of Al Hilal is still very great and the defense of the away is not very tight. So we want to still look at Al Hilal to lead in full time as one of the major picks, as well as the possibility of 1.5 or 2 goals over. Looking here at the next, of course, we want to look at the next game in the Czech Republic Fortuna League, and this time is Sparta Prague against Bohemians. Sparta Prague, which is the home team, have proved to be better in terms of recent event they have had comparing to that of Bohemians. And looking at the recent head-to-head which they have just had this same year, they have met twice and Sparta Prague have lead by all the times. This time Sparta Prague is coming home, and comparing the stands in terms of the form by the home and away game played, Sparta Prague still proved to be better here, and of course sitting on the 9th position, 10 goals scored, 9 conceded based on 5 games played. Bohemians, on the other hand, of course, is also proving here, as you can see, the offense is average, defense is not also tight. And looking at everything in place, we want to look at two major picks in full time. For this particular gameplay, of course, both of the two sides want to impress, and we therefore want to look at least 1.5 going full time as one of the major pick or 2 goals over. Looking at the next, we look at Netherlands in the Eredivisie, a match between Waalwijk against Feyenoord. Feyenoord, which is the away team, have proved to be better in terms of recent events they have had. They have had games, especially in the Champions League against Man City, where they have a draw. Of course, Feyenoord have proved to be good as compared to that of the home. The recent head-to-head, which they made this same year, Feyenoord play at home, a lead by 1-0. This time, Feyenoord is going away, and the fact that they have mostly had games in the Champions League with stronger teams, comparing now the stands of this tournament by the home and away game played in terms of form, Feyenoord away have proved, as you can see here, that they are very good in terms of offense. For 5 games played, they have had 14 goals scored, 5 conceded, very high offense and good defense. That of the home were weak, of course. On the other hand, you're going to see that the defense, even at home, is very weak, and want to look at two major picks here in full time. For this particular event, we still want to look at Feyenoord to lead in full time as one of the major picks. Also, the possibility of the fact that Feyenoord had a very high offense and the defense of the home is not that very tight. We want to look at least 1.5 goal to occur in this match in full time as the next possibility. And to those of you who want to have access to a hand-pick event based on top 10 and top 15 list of goal probability games, corner kicks with huge odds to take your winning to the next level, then you want to become a member of the Level 2 Pro plan. And of course, for you to join, the link is below this video description. You want to click on it, navigate and join as a member of the Level 2 Pro plan to start to have access to members-only match prediction picks to take your winning to the next height. Good luck and see you again in the next upload, and bye-bye for now.